Most people will never experience what you're about to hear. It's not because they don't meditate enough or because they lack spiritual discipline. It's because this kind of awakening isn't something you choose. It chooses you. And when it does, it rewires everything, your body, your mind, even reality itself. Those who go through it are never the same again. Some call it a gift, others call it a curse. You'll soon understand why. Welcome to Mental Models Mapped, where we explore what makes people think the way that they do, to help break free from mental traps and see life through a whole new lens. There's a force inside you that you've never fully tapped into. Right now, it lies dormant, like a coiled serpent at the base of your spine. But for a select few, it awakens with an intensity that defies explanation. Your entire nervous system fires up in ways that science still struggles to explain. Some describe it as an unbearable ecstasy, others as pure agony. And once it starts, there's no turning it off. Some people experience spontaneous yoga postures. Others feel their breath shifting into unknown rhythms, like something ancient has taken over. You could be sitting in complete stillness, and yet, inside, it feels like a hurricane. Your heart races, pressure builds at the base of your skull, and the world starts to blur around you. Some have even blacked out, waking up to find their body twisted into postures they never learned. Doctors will tell you it's a neurological overload. Skeptics will say it's psychosomatic. But those who've lived through it, they know better. Because once this energy rises, the world itself starts to change. Not just physically, but existentially. Colors become more vivid, as if the world has been turned up to an intensity you've never seen before. But that's just the surface level. Some start seeing shapes and symbols, geometric patterns forming in the air, intricate mandalas appearing behind closed eyes. At first, it seems random. But the more it happens, the clearer it becomes. These aren't just hallucinations. They carry meaning. Then there are the visions. Not daydreams, not imagination. Entire worlds unfolding in your mind's eye, more real than anything you've ever experienced. Some people see themselves standing in places they've never been, only to visit them later and realize they were real. Others witness past lives, faces and events from a history they've never studied, yet somehow they know. And then there's the darkness. Not evil, but deep. So deep it strips away everything comfortable. You see yourself not as a name or a body, but as something far more unsettling, a fleeting thought in an endless cosmos. You're no longer a person looking out at the world. You are the world, and the world is you. For some, it's liberation. For others, it's terrifying. And if you're not ready for it, it can break you. Most people will never experience this. And for good reason. Because once you've seen beyond the veil, nothing looks the same again. Then it gets even stranger. You start noticing something you can't explain. It's as if the universe is communicating with you, but not in words. At first, it's subtle. A song playing at the exact moment you think of something deeply personal. A symbol repeating itself over and over in your daily life, as if it's trying to get your attention. Numbers appearing in impossible sequences, whispering at the edges of reality. But then it escalates. You begin to understand things you were never taught. Complex ideas, ancient knowledge, messages that feel like they're being downloaded straight into your mind. Some experience spontaneous automatic writing, their hands moving with a will of their own, producing words, symbols, or languages they've never studied. It could be the sound of silence itself shifting, or an otherworldly melody you can't quite place. Some describe it as angelic choirs, others as the sound of creation itself. This is not imagination. These experiences happen across cultures, across time, to people who have never met, never shared stories, never influenced each other. So what's happening is it the subconscious unlocking hidden knowledge, a biological shift in brain function, or something far more profound, the voice of the universe, revealing itself in ways only a few will ever comprehend. Whatever it is, one thing is certain. The moment you realize reality is speaking back, you can never go back to the way things were. Then something even more impossible happens. Your senses start evolving beyond what should be physically possible. At first, it's subtle. You walk into a room and suddenly, you feel everything. The emotions of the people around you. At first, it's just a flicker in your peripheral vision. But over time, it becomes undeniable. Some colors radiate peace, others vibrate with tension. And the strangest part, the more you trust what you see, the more accurate it becomes. Your intuition sharpens to the point where it feels like you're reading minds. Not in a Hollywood, telepathic way, but in an undeniable knowing. You sense what people are about to say before they say it. You predict events before they unfold. Déjà vu stops being a fleeting feeling and starts becoming a warning system. And then, the most unexplainable shift, your body begins to change. You may notice physical healing happening at an unnatural rate. Old injuries stop hurting. Chronic pain disappears. Some even claim their eye color subtly shifts. Their skin glows. Their body regenerates faster. And while skeptics dismiss this as placebo, those who experience it know this isn't just in the mind. But here's where it gets even more surreal. Technology starts acting differently around you. Lights flicker when you walk by. Phones glitch out in your hands. Streetlights go dark when you pass underneath. Or is something deeper happening? Something that defies modern science? Most people will never reach this stage. And for good reason. Because once you start bending reality, reality starts bending back. And then you dissolve. Not physically, not mentally, but spiritually. One day, without warning, the barrier between you and the universe disappears. There's no separation between you and everything else. The air, the trees, the people around you, they are no longer other. They are you, and you are them. Time loses meaning. You could be sitting in one place for hours, but it feels like seconds. Or you blink, and an entire day has passed. The concept of before and after crumbles. You no longer exist as a person moving through time. You exist as something beyond time itself. And then, the most indescribable sensation of all, an overwhelming flood of love, not human love, not romantic or conditional, but something deeper, cosmic, boundless. Because it erases everything that isn't real. Your fears, your attachments, your false identities. All of it is stripped away until there's nothing left but the raw essence of existence itself. For some, this is bliss. For others, it's terrifying. Because when the universe takes away the illusion of self, it doesn't give it back. And once you've felt this, once you've merged with everything, how do you return to normal life? You don't. Because you are no longer the one living life. Life is living itself through you. And then comes the final shift, the one that separates those who adapt from those who break. Because after everything, the energy surges, the visions, the ego death, the superhuman senses, the loss of time, one truth becomes clear: the world you knew is gone. You step outside, and reality itself feels different. The trees, the sky, the people, they're all the same, but they're not. Colors are richer. Sounds are sharper. But more than that, the fabric of existence has shifted. It's as if reality is alive. The line between thought and manifestation becomes razor thin, and you start to wonder, was reality always this malleable, or is something waking up inside of me? For some, it's intoxicating. For others, it's unnerving. Because once you notice that reality is moving with you, reacting to you, there's a terrifying question that arises. Who's really in control? Some people get lost at this stage. They see the patterns, the symbols, the strange coincidences, and it consumes them. They chase the signs, looking for meaning in everything, until reality itself feels like an unsolvable riddle. But those who integrate it, they gain something priceless: clarity. They realize that the universe isn't just some cosmic machine ticking away. It's interactive, responsive, conscious. And the final shift, it's when you no longer feel like an observer of life, but a co-creator of it. It's about responsibility. Because once you reach this level, every thought, every intention, every action has weight. You don't just live in the world, you shape it. And that's why so few ever make it this far. Because most people aren't ready to wield that kind of influence over their own existence. But for the 1% who do, life is no longer something that happens to them. It's something they create. So now, the question is, what happens next? Because once you've seen beyond the illusion, once you've felt the universe breathing through you, there's no going back. Some people try. They force themselves into normal routines, surround themselves with distractions, pretend like nothing happened. But deep down, they know. They've changed. Reality has changed. And ignoring it only makes the feeling stronger. For others, the shift is too much. They spiral. They become disconnected, detached from friends, family, society itself. They feel like aliens trapped in a world that no longer makes sense. How do you live in a system when you've seen beyond it? And then, there are the few, the ones who integrate the awakening. They realize that awakening wasn't about escape. It was about mastery. And here's the final truth, the one that only the 1% ever understand. This experience wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. It was a call to wake up, a call to break free, a call to remember who you really are. Because the ultimate secret of Kundalini awakening isn't just about energy. It isn't about visions, or powers, or bending reality. It's about evolution. You didn't choose this. It chose you. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? And that's where most people get stuck. Because after everything, the energy, the visions, the death of the old self, the biggest challenge isn't the awakening. It's what comes after. Most spiritual teachings don't prepare you for this part. Feel things they don't. While they stress about trivial problems, you'll see the bigger picture. While they chase status, money, validation, you'll know none of it matters. And yet, you still have to live here. This is where the real test begins. Can you hold on to the truth you've uncovered without losing yourself in it? Because here's the trap, the thing that breaks people after awakening. Some become isolated. They see the illusions of the world and withdraw completely, unable to relate to anyone anymore. They speak in riddles, talk about dimensions and frequencies until no one understands them. And eventually, they stop trying. Others get trapped in the high. They chase spiritual experiences like a drug, constantly seeking bigger awakenings, deeper revelations, more proof that they've ascended. They think they're evolving, but in reality, they're just escaping. But the ones who truly integrate this, they realize something profound. Kundalini awakening was never about leaving this world. It was about mastering it, not running from reality, reshaping it, not disconnecting from people, Do you bring wisdom back into your daily life? Do you carry that divine love into your relationships? Do you use your new awareness to make the world better? Or do you let it turn you into someone who looks down on others for not being awake yet? This is what separates the few who rise to their true potential from those who get lost in the awakening itself. Because in the end, Kundalini doesn't wake you up so you can escape reality. It wakes you up so you can master it. And that's the final truth, the one no one tells you. Spiritual awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning. Because once you've stepped beyond the illusion, you have two choices. Either learn how to walk in this new reality, or get lost in it. That's why so few ever reach full integration. Living it, applying it, owning it. Because you will be tested. You'll still face problems, but now you'll see them from a higher perspective. You'll still feel emotions, but now you'll understand their deeper purpose. You'll still experience pain, loss, struggle, but now you'll know why. And here's the paradox, the final riddle of awakening. The more enlightened you become, the more human you must be. Because this journey wasn't about leaving the world behind. It was about returning to it, fully conscious, fully aware, and fully in control. Not controlled by your emotions, but guided by them. Not chasing meaning, but embodying it. Not waiting for miracles, but creating them. This is what separates those who simply awaken from those who truly evolve. Because in the end, the goal was never to transcend reality. It was to master it. And now that you know, the only question left is, what will you do with this power?